Good evening, guys. It's Phil. It's All Leeds TV, and we're back with another big match preview. I've got Chris here to go through everything ahead of Southampton tomorrow. We are going to be hopefully joined by Oscar at some point, but as Steve has already beaten me to the joke, All Leeds TV and Just Joe are on at the same time, so you never know which one Oscar's going to join first, do you? Fingers crossed he's not watching, because if he hears that, he just won't join us at all. Chris, welcome back, mate. It's been a couple of weeks for both of us. Neither of us have done a show, I don't think, since the big match preview before Scum at home. So obviously, the last time we were on here, we were really positive and happy, and there's ups and downs to get through. But before we get to all that, how are you doing? You happy to be back?
Happy to be back. Yeah, please we got a 3:00 kickoff at Ellen Road. Please we're going tomorrow. Please it's Saturday, not Sunday. That'd be easier to remember.
Yeah.
And hoping to be more positive than it's been in the last couple of weeks, because I guess since that show we haven't really progressed too far. Although having a manager is some positive news to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's so many different segues we can go. We can go up, down, left, right, and backwards here, really, with the different directions this club has mentally taken in the last few weeks. There's been white smoke. There's been a real distant over the hill view of that white smoke as you drive away from it. There's been some embarrassing moments over the last few weeks. We were so positive about Scoobs after the game at Old Trafford, where 2-0 up at Old Trafford, possibly the only time in my life that might ever happen. That was enjoyable. But then Ellen Road, I don't think it was a disgraceful defeat by any sort of stretch of the imagination. They were slightly better in the closing stages and scraped. 2-0 sounds more comfortable than perhaps it actually was. It was closer than that, but then that's obviously followed by Everton, which was horrendous. And yeah, lots to get into. So we'll try and sort of go. I don't even know if you can go chronologically. I don't know where you would throw Radrizzani, Victor Orta, Angus Kinnear in that spattered timeline. So let's pick up from Man United at home. How did you find those first two games of the Scoobs era? And we got told initially there wasn't going to be a new manager straight away. Scoobs was going to have those two games. And were you confident going into Everton that, because I think that's one thing that does get sort of skewered with people's lack of foresight at the time. People have obviously been incredibly annoyed about how Everton went, but let's be honest, were you comfortable with Scavalla taking the Everton game based on how those two Scum games were? Because I think most of us were.
I think I was happy. I think I always knew that it was never the long-term aim. I guess there's all sorts of write-ups that they were hoping he would last the end of the season, but I think that's all it was, a hope. They were just chancing it, that he'll get a couple of early wins, and then all of a sudden you might jump up a few places in the table. You might find yourself 15th. All the fans are happy. There's no protests, and players are happy. And I guess that's part of the battle at the moment. Just getting the players happy, getting them to buy into the ideas. But I think I'm pleased that we do have a proper manager now, because he didn't have the experience. It'd have been a very hard situation to deal with for the next sort of 15 games. I think he did well in the two Man U games, but it's probably quite easy to get the players up for those games compared to week in, week out against teams who are fighting the battle and having to kind of deal with Dyche's tactics, having to deal with what some of the other teams around us are going to be kind of throwing at us, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think going into that Everton game, don't get me wrong, I was still sort of hopeful that an appointment could be made going into that Everton game. I think I said to you and Dad, I believed that anyway that the day after the Man United game, that Monday morning, there would be an announcement, surely, that we'd have a new manager in place, and it'd be something to appease the fans. It'd be something that we could get behind a little bit. And then we got an announcement that it would basically be Scoobs for the foreseeable. And they didn't really put a time limit on it, which again, like that, going forward, when you put a statement out on Monday one week and say, yeah, it's fine, he'll do it for another few games, it's going really well, and then within a week you've had a harrowing defeat and just got a new manager in. So a week is a long time in Leeds United, really is. It's probably a longer time in Leeds United sphere than most places. But that week, obviously we were away doing our own thing, but when we got back, it was okay. I'm excited for this Everton game. as soon as that game kicked off, did you kind of know where it was going? Because I think it was hard to watch that game and feel like there was ever anything going to be taken out of it. It felt to me so chaos ball, so Marsh ball, as though Marsh was still there and there was nothing that had been changed.
Yeah, there just seemed to be there was no plan. I think it was just a case of, you've done really well, guys, against Man U, more of the same, go out there, try hard. Whatever he said, we don't know, but it was quite clear in the first half we had no control of the ball, weren't creating anything, and yeah, if anyone was going to be creating a chance, it was only going to be one team, and I think in the end they probably deserved the win. I don't think we had a single. Do we have a single shot on goal? I'm not sure, but it was pretty poor.
Not on target that I can remember. I know there's a couple, like a Bamford one that went wide, or
he miskicked it. Yeah,
but there was nothing that sort of filled you with confidence. And I think the worrying thing about it for me was how shit Everton are. For me, their squad's worse than ours. I think based on the squad, there are bits of me that look at the situation and go, semi-decent manager coming in, we can get behind him. Fans will sort of feel like a turn in the momentum if we can get a couple of results. And you look at our squad and you feel like it is better than a few sides around us. Everton for me, Bournemouth, Southampton, that's three. You only need to be better than three teams. But the fact that Everton were so shit and they just had to do so little to beat us, and I know obviously the goal comes from such a freakish situation.
Yeah.
And Mellier's got a lot of credit in the bank, where maybe he's not going to get the pelters that the actual team and the board have got since that result. But yeah, it was far too easy. That we just didn't create. We gave very little, and it was. I think maybe context comes into it, but do you think that was the worst performance you've seen this season? Because it was only a 1-0 defeat. It wasn't, like.
I think in terms of chance creation, because in terms of chance creation, probably yes. I don't remember ever having a period of time where we were dominating, but I think the goal was just really bad timing, because Everton weren't doing that much yet. That was quite early on in the second half, wasn't it? And I think we'd kind of got over the worst, and we have the individual players who can create something from nothing. They're not sort of foreign at the moment. I guess we've been relying on Nonte for the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately he does seem the only sort of spark who's going to do something sort of out of the ordinary. But it was just really bad timing. Meslier was in a really bad position, but if they don't score there, it continues being 0-0, and it could go either way. It wasn't like we were completely outplayed. They were the better team, but all it would take is one attack like that, and all of a sudden we're ahead, and they're panicking, and the Everton fans are turning, and I guess in the battle we're in, it's going to be such fine moments like that that's going to decide it, and we need to start getting some of these going our way, because nothing seems to be going for Leeds right now.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think for me as well, the fact that result went the way that it did, it puts so much pressure on tomorrow. The table looking the way it does, obviously there was another couple of results that went completely wrong for us. Obviously Southampton, who we play tomorrow, beating Chelsea, and Bournemouth picking up an unlikely win and getting out of the bottom three themselves. And I mean, for me, you look at that bottom three now. West Ham obviously even when we saw them at Ellen Road, they didn't look a good team, but I don't expect them to be anywhere near where they are at the moment. I think they will pick up and they'll be all right. But I do fear, at least before the manager appointment, after that Everton game, I think me and most of the fan base, judging by Twitter, and I know Twitter's not the place where you should gauge how things in life are, but God, it was chaos on there for a few days after. And it sort of put into perspective how fucking quickly they needed to act. But do you think that getting the manager in there and then, and this is probably the easiest question I'll ask you all night, but they had to, didn't they? They had to get someone in. And did it matter who it was? I mean, I know there was two men on the shortlist. I think it was potentially Gracia and Benitez in the end. But let's be honest, that shortlist has been done over so many times that it's hard to take it seriously anyway. But they had to get someone in. They had no choice after that Everton game, right?
They had to do it. And I don't even know if Benitez was... Do we know that he's been spoken to? I know he gets linked to every job going, but...
Well, I think it was more a reaction to what he said on Sky, but this short list apparently in the end was down to 2 between Gracia and someone else, and the rumours are that it was Benitez. But let's be honest, that short list has changed more times than I changed my pants. So, yeah.
Well, I think, to be honest, at that point, I just wanted someone to come in. I wasn't fussy. I mean, we've been speaking about all sorts of managers, ranging from Pochettino, Rodgers, whoever. We've spoken about over 10 different managers. Some very unrealistic, some unrealistic. But we just needed a manager because the fans would be talking about it non-stop. The players must be kind of going home, not wondering who's going to be there tomorrow. Am I in the team on Saturday? If not, does it matter? Because will the guy be there on Monday? And there's just so much uncertainty. And there's all sorts of rumours about protests at the ground. I don't know. Maybe that's still happening because I guess people aren't happy with the board, and probably rightly so. But we've made a decision. I guess we just got to stick with him. This guy's either going to save us or he's going to take us down. I think it would be. It would take something quite special for him to leave before the end of the season. So I think that's at least some.
I don't think that one's happening. I think he is here till the end of the season, and it's just a case of, if he keeps us up, do they give him it long term, or do they say thank you very much, we're going to go get Iraola, who we actually want now, or if we go down, does he stay and try and bring us up? Or it's a hard one to work out with this flexible situation. But
I think it depends how well it goes. Like if it goes perfectly, I mean, when does it ever go perfectly? But if it's a fantastic turnaround, how can you not give him the job? But I guess sometimes that's not always the right thing to do. If one of the top targets has said they will come in the summer, we don't know if that's the case. If they've said they'll come if we stay up, it's probably better to wait for them and stick to plan A rather than plan D, E, or F, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing I don't want to spend forever on it, but I do think we kind of need to get into it and talk about it. The way that the last few weeks has gone has really, I mean, it's seen a sort of spike in, like you were saying, protest planned and stuff like that. And God, me and Dad were talking the other day actually about how, the Everton board were told to steer clear of the game, and you've got to think at this point with some of the stuff that's come out with Rads or to Kinnear, all three of them, someone's got to be telling them, if they didn't have the Javi Gracia moment earlier in the week where we do announce a manager, and it all seems to have simmered down a little bit since then. So I was at the point where I think that they should have probably been told to stay clear of Ellen Road tomorrow, because it was, for me, the last few weeks has been the final life out of the board's 9 lives, and it's really hard to have a conversation about the board. And when I say the board, I mean those 3 in particular. Radrizzani is the owner, Orta is the sporting director, and Angus Kinnear is the chief exec. Those 3, for me, have kind of lived a charmed life for a little while now, and it's like a cat with 9 lives, and this last few weeks has been the final one for me, and it's hard to try and stay balanced on it, because you can, and a lot of people go so nuclear one direction or the other, or in outright defense, which is more rare, or outright attack. And I think it's got to be fair where, like, for example, Mike, hello, nice to see you. People saying they need to leave or the board need to go or anything like that. When it comes to the things that have gone on, and Jesus Christ, the last few weeks have just been embarrassing. That's been the thing for me where it's been hard. I try and take a balanced view on Radrizzani. I'll give him some credit. He's done some good for this club. Obviously, they all have. They are the people that have been in charge when we've come back to the Premier League after that 16-year wait. They are, in Radrizzani's case, the people that bought back a stadium that we should never have sold. They tried to get our training facilities back. They, obviously, Victor Orta on an individual basis has brought in the best manager we've probably had in our lifetime, at least. Some of the players that he's brought in have gone on to have fantastic careers with the club and are still here doing a great job. But at the same time, and obviously Angus Kinnear as well, financially managing a lot of those deals and everything else around it. But at the same time, I always kind of said on this channel up until the Bielsa stuff last year, for me, they made one good decision. And again, that's not exactly.
I think they've done more than that based on everything you said.
That's what I mean.
More stuff.
That's not a balanced thing to say, and I'm trying so hard to be balanced on it. But they rode the coattails of that Bielsa decision, and Bielsa himself, when those three took a step back from the football, because let's be honest, the problem over the last year has been that we nailed our colours to the mast on a style of football that Victor Orta, who was in charge of that style of football, he wanted something very specific. And that's been the thing that we've all really not enjoyed at all, after having a long period of something that we all did enjoy. So for me, you've gone off the back of 3 years, riding Bielsa's success. We finished 9th in the Premier League, and then everything stalled. It all stopped. We got so complacent. And from that moment, for me, they failed Bielsa, and then the way that the Bielsa ending was handled, I didn't like. But since then, the nails in the coffin, it's just every single tweet that's gone out from the owner when he's had a glass of wine, and it's like white smoke. All right, we're working on it. Those kind of things, just hammering that final nail into the coffin. You've got, Orta doing this to the cameras and to the fans, and sack the board into a camera and hammering that nail into a coffin. Angus Kinnear with the programme notes every week, just hammering the fucking net. And it's so hard to stay balanced on this. But I'm going to say, again, another daft question, Chris. How much of the blame have they got to take? And can you kind of attribute some of it out anywhere else? Or at the end of the day, because they're the decision makers, does it all fall on them? And where does this go now? Where are you going to feel? Because it's about where people stand on these guys now. Where do you think this club should be going in the right direction? And are they the people to take us forward anymore? Because I think that's what's changed over the last couple of weeks.
And I think it is all on them. Like you say, that first season when it was all looking so good, that they're all going to look back on that, whether they admit it or not. They will know they made a mistake at that point. Not sacking him. They can maybe still get rid of him, get a new manager, whatever they want. It's just the way it happened just wasn't right. I guess all of the sort of Twitter antics and sort of shouting at the fans, that just shows they're not in control. They're just I suppose it's not very professional. You don't necessarily see it from other sort of well-run clubs. And I think part of the problem is having the two sets of owners, having these guys and having the 49ers there. That should have happened by now, and I'm sure it probably would have happened during the World Cup if we were in a stable position. If it was guaranteed we were staying up, maybe the deal could have been set. I don't know what's caused the delay, but I guess the deal was massively. I don't know if it's a threat. Maybe it's agreed. I'm not sure, but there's obviously terms that are being discussed, and that can't help anyone. The fact that you're still having to negotiate the price, and it could vary up to 100 million, I suppose, if they get relegated.
Yeah. He stands, in particular, stands to lose so much money out of the deal that he originally made if it doesn't all go to plan. Let's be honest. So we're joined by a wonderful and beautiful guest. He's all late TV as normal, but here he is. We've got
Apologies. I thought I'd jump on for about 15, 20 minutes just to rant a little bit and vent the anger at supporting Leeds United at this moment in time.
You've joined at the great time, mate. We've just started actually on the board and how everyone's feeling about them. So, I could let you just take the floor, but if you want me to just give you a bit of an intro as to where you've come in.
Give us a bit of a build-up.
We were saying about how the last couple of weeks for me have been like a final nail in the coffin. They've been, for me, riding the coattails, and I tried to do it balanced. I tried to say each of the three, and Rad's, Kinnear, Orta, they're the three that we're talking about. They've all done good things. It's not like I can sit here and say they failed this club from start to finish. They haven't. They have obviously taken us back up and so on and so forth. But for me, since we finished 9th in the Premier League under Bielsa, the first season back in the Prem, it's complacency. And the thing that's bothered me, and it's felt like the final nail in the coffin for all three the last few weeks is, and Chris just alluded to it then, the level of sort of unprofessionalism. I think I messaged you, Oscar, earlier and said, I was always really skeptical about any other company taking over Leeds United, any new ownership. It doesn't matter whether it's the 49ers or anyone, just because I'm scarred about new owners. I never really trusted it. But I'm kind of getting to the point myself when I do have a lot of respect for this board and the people in particular because of relationships that we formed with them as people, but also because of the history of what's happened. But if we get the 49ers in, you can't tell me that the 49ers are going to be on the piss on a night on Twitter abusing the fans and fucking screaming into camera saying sack the board and swearing at the fan. Like it smacks of unprofessional delivery from the people that are meant to be in charge of the club, and it's embarrassing. It's been hard to get behind the last few weeks, and I'm kind of in the point now where I'll take a different direction at the end of the season if that's where we can go, but it's hard to know where to stand at the moment.
Yeah, listen, I think first and foremost, I think I'm happy with Javi Gracia. I wouldn't, maybe happy is the wrong word, because I think in terms of the targets we did have in place, I thought, oh wow, some of the names that were getting linked, I thought, wow. But in terms of Javi Gracia, the situation we're in, I'd say, I probably would say I'm happy with it, because I think he's experienced. I think he's already brought a calmness about the place. I think already in his manner, it's totally different to Jesse Marsh's. It just, I don't know, that press conference really impressed me. And listen, we've had many a good press conference from Leeds managers, and they've gone on to be pretty dreadful, really. But there's something about Javi Gracia. There's something about him. I've watched a lot of La Liga over the years. He's done a solid job at the very least at every club he's been at in La Liga. At many clubs he's overachieved. Watford, I thought he did a superb job there. But yeah, listen, it's a massive job for him. And, I think I'd like to think the fans are going to be fully behind Javi Gracia, and then the other stuff is going to be off the pitch. Listen, that is the first and foremost. I think at least we've got someone that we can get behind. I actually thought the reaction would be more negative, to be totally honest with you. As bad as that sounds, I thought when I first saw that name mentioned,
Big Sam.
I kind of thought, I'm not sure how the fans react to that, to be honest. I'm not sure, because he's not worked, at the top level for a while, albeit he's had decent success. But I think the reaction was good. Whether that was because we simply had to get a manager in, we kind of were hoping to get one in before Man United, and then obviously 2 or 3 games later, we still didn't have a manager. We're going into this weekend potentially without a manager. Now we've got it sorted. I think it was a bit of a relief more than anything. But I think the reaction to Javi Gracia has been good. So that's good first and foremost. That is the main thing at this moment in time. That is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in Javi Gracia and what he does with the group of players. I support Leeds United. I support the players on the pitch. I don't support the people in the boardroom. I never have. Even when things are going well, I never have and never will. It's all about the players. At the end of the day, you watch football for what happens on the pitch, not what happens around it, what happens on the pitch. That's first and foremost. But yeah, in terms of what's happened...
Oscar walking in with a mic drop already.
I know. I didn't want to go into it's not really a rant. It's just, I think first and foremost, that is the main thing for me at this moment in time. Leeds United staying in the Premier League. That is the main fundamental thing for me. I think at this moment in time, you talk about the boards, to go onto the boards, it's been 2 years of constant decline. I think last year was terrible. I thought last year that should have been the low point last season, but it's probably got worse. We're in a worse situation now. Much worse situation, really, because you look at the quality of the league, I think is higher this season at the bottom end of the table. I think you haven't got a Norwich or Watford who are kind of giving you 10, 12 points straight off the bat kind of thing. We haven't got that situation. We're going to need probably 30, 35 points to avoid finishing bottom of the table at this rate. So it's a massive challenge, this. I think people have got to acknowledge this is a massive challenge now. And it's totally, for me, listen, I admire the board, the fact they backed the manager. They did back the manager. Let's have it right. They did back Jesse Marsh. I still think Jesse Marsh fundamentally is most to blame for the situation we're in. If I'm being totally honest, I think he's most to blame. I think he's had the group of players that are good enough to be higher in the table than what they are. I don't think he's helped himself for much of it. And I think, to be honest, he really should have gone sooner. Nice guy, but here's the reason for me. I'd say more than half the reason we're in this situation. I'm not saying the board are blameless. The board have got to take responsibility as well, but we have spent in January. You can't say we haven't spent in January. We have put a squad together. It's just been dreadfully managed, I think. I think in certain situations we've not recruited particularly well. That probably comes more onto Victor Orta's line of work. Don't get me wrong. I think people like Willie Nonto, albeit Willie Nonto was kind of like almost an accidental signing, have been very, very good. I think certain signings he's made have really improved us. Max Verber, I think, was a really, really good spot. Because I'll be honest, when I first saw Max Verber linked, it wasn't I didn't want Max Verber to sign, but he did strike me as someone who's going to instantly improve the back line. I just thought a solid player, but he's actually been a leader. So that's good player identification. But you look at their wings for first and foremost. All our wingers are better on the left than what they are on the right. That is bad balance. That's a bad balance to have because, listen, they're all good players. They're all good players, but Jack Harrison is not going to be as effective on the right as what he is on the left. Willie Gnonto is not going to be as effective on the right as what he is on the left. But we're now in a situation where we're going to have to play players out of position, and it feels self-inflicted. And the problem I have with that is that we sold one of the best players in Europe in the summer, in Rafinha. He was a right winger. We didn't sign a direct right winger to replace our most important player, the player that kept us up the season before.
Leeds United not replacing something they've sold under this ownership.
Listen, that's not to say I'm not happy the wingers are brought in, but we have to acknowledge that our best wide players play on the left. Brendan Harrison could do a job on the right, I suppose, but I don't know. It just feels unbalanced in that respect. But you know, and then there's other bits and pieces as well. You know, in terms of the striker situation, we probably should have addressed sooner because you've got Jorginho Rutter, I think, will go on to be a really good player for us. Yeah, left back. But, you know, I think obviously, listen, on the left back situation, that's been a problem for probably since Charlie Taylor left the club. And before Charlie Taylor, since we had Ian Hart at the club, you know, that has been a problem constantly. And in pretty much all my years of being a Leeds fan, it's that one position we've never seemed to ever get right. But Pascal, there's a lot of recency bias on Pascal, I think. But he was having a really solid season. First half of the season at left back.
He's not a left back. That's
No, I agree. I agree with that. But it almost felt to me a little bit like if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of situation. No, what I'll say is I'm not saying I didn't want us to sign a left back. But the fact is we moved Pascal straight away to the left side of centre back, completely different position to what he'd been playing all season. And his confidence has gone since then. Yeah, his confidence has totally gone since then. And that, to me, is bad squad management. That has got to go on Jesse Marsch. You know, players like Mark Rocker, in a decent system, I think Mark Rocker is going to go on to be a really good player for us under Grazia. I'm really confident about that. But another player we didn't get the best out of, and it only felt like the Salzburg or Leipzig players were the only players that we could really, truly get something out other than Wilfried Gnonto. So it's just such a disappointment. You know, where we were at the start of the season, first 5 or 6 games, probably before Brentford, even Brentford, we played all right, but we just conceded every single time they had a shot. But now it's just dull, isn't it? It's just, there's no excitement.
It's chaos ball. And
there's nothing dynamic about us at this moment in time. And this is where I think Javi Grazia comes in. You know, it does feel like the only way is up at this moment in time because there's no, even if we go down, there's no way we can be worse than what we have been since pretty much the 3rd week in August. You know, people talk about XG and stats and all this lot, but as you say, it's chaos ball. There's going to be opportunities in the game, but there's also going to be opportunities going the other way. And whenever a team was able to settle down a game against us, we were in big trouble. You know, no matter who we played. So it's just been such a, you know, listen, I don't want to keep going back to Bielsa because I do want to look forward now because I think I'm happy with who we've got in charge. You know, is it certainly for short term, I'm happy with Grazia. Is it a long-term thing? He has to prove that. Let's not get this twisted. He has to prove that. Grazia's got the job for 12, 13 games. He's got to prove it now as well. But I'll stop talking. But it's just a year ago on Sunday.
He put on 5 minutes and he stopped. Have you breathed in the last?
I can't sleep at night at this moment in time, man. I can't. It's just like it just feels such a. It feels so unnecessary what's happened over the last 2 years. It's not like you know.
That's where I'm going to say like
a year ago we sacked Marcelo Bielsa. We are now in a much worse position than what we were, and we spent 150 million in the process. How has that happened? How has that come about?
You attribute a lot of the blame to Jesse Marsch, and trust me, I'm not going to defend that. The only thing I will say when you attribute a lot of blame to Jesse Marsch, and something I said maybe just before you jumped on, was the person that was in charge of that transition from Bielsa to whatever came next, based on what he wanted the philosophy of this football club to become and the style of play of this football club to become, was Victor Orta.
But just one thing though.
And then he kept backing and backing and backing, and the board kept backing and backing and backing when realistically, back end of last season, not many people were behind this and wanted it to carry on. Fair enough, he kept us up, and then there's kind of a little scope to say, thanks very much, we'll move on. First 3 games, fair enough. Hard to say, well, he started so well, let's move on. But definitely by Fulham at home. Like,
yeah, that was my turning point, really. That
I
was
remember Fulham at home. Me, Chris, and Lad and Dad were sat in the East Stand Upper, and I was wetting myself when they scored the second and third.
Oh, it was laughable at times. That first goal,
caring.
Williams' goal, I think it was. It was
Yeah, stop
laughable.
giving a shit.
But I think one thing to say is that, in terms of this, it was never going to continue the Bielsa philosophy because Bielsa's a unique manager. There's no one else in the world that plays football like Marcelo Bielsa. There's no one who man marks, plays with as much width as what we did, plays as kind of like...
To go from that to
I understand that.
Yeah.
But this idea that we were ever going to build some kind of
course.
What's the name around Bielsa? Bielsa was always going to be the peak of anything we did. It's the same with Chile, the same with Argentina. Bielsa was the peak of what they were doing. Listen, I know they went on to win things after he left, but you ask most Chile fans, Bilbao fans, etc., the peak was when Bielsa was in charge. So it was never going to be, this is what I've said a couple of times, in terms of the early bits of Bielsa days, is that enjoy this because I didn't think he'd last as long as 4 years. I didn't think he'd be here for 4 years. But just moving on, moving forward, though, I don't want to keep going on about Bielsa because it'll be a broken record. But at the end of the day, it was pretty clear after Fulham that this wasn't going anywhere, this project. And at that point, you're thinking we should have been decisive for me. I know we won the Liverpool game. It was almost like that Liverpool game was almost one of the worst things that happened to us this season because it gave us a false sense of security.
I think me and you might have actually done a player ratings after the game and said just that, I'm fairly sure we said...
I don't know if we said that, but I think we did acknowledge that it was a fortuitous win. I mean, we played well, but...
It'd have been gone if we hadn't have got that left.
Probably, yeah. I mean, quite possibly. I mean, quite probably, to be quite honest. It is just a complete mess. We're back to... This is a pretty poor time to be a Leeds fan, if we're being totally honest. If we're talking about in terms of the joys of watching Leeds United, this is just being, I thought after Bielsa left, it would be like a steady decline, but this has just been a complete and utter drop. This is Leeds United going one way at this moment in time, and our only hope now is Javi Grazia. Let's be totally honest. Our only hope of staying up now is Javi Grazia, and with him getting his ideas across. And
I'm going to bring Chris in just because I'm conscious that he's either A, frozen or B, asleep. Chris, Javi Grazia, what do you make of the appointment? And are you happy to have him in? I think I'm going to get Oscar to do a deep dive on the tactical analysis stuff in about 5 minutes, but I want to make sure you are still alive.
Still alive, listening. Well, I think it's a good appointment. It's not exciting. I think we all wanted a lot more, but it's a manager that it seems like what Oscar was saying, that everyone is behind it. There doesn't seem to be like a big split in the fan base. Everyone accepts there wasn't all these options out there ready and waiting to put their name on the line. Like you couldn't get a top manager willing to say, I can definitely keep Leeds up in 15 games or whatever it is. They wouldn't want that on their CV. So I suppose my only worry is is it going to be a really compact team? Is it going to be too similar to what we've seen before? I know they're not the same manager, but we're here in the same kind of formation. It'd just be interesting to see what he does with it. I guess we got tomorrow, but we've also got the FA Cup run, so there's still something else to play for, not just relegation.
Obviously, a manager that got an English team to an FA Cup final, and a manager that, in his press conference today, he did kind of say, like, I haven't had enough time and I'm not going to be able to, in 3 days, teach them anything new. So the best thing I can do is come in here and have a look at what's going on and see if I can fix it and make it better. I can adapt to the players and the system that are already there. I like, in a way, that he's come in and sort of said, I'm not coming in with a strict philosophy. They don't have to immediately learn how to play a back three or a 4-2-3-1. Like, they can do their 4-4-2 or their penis ball, and I'll just make it a little bit better by doing what I do and making them better.
Exact words he used out of interest, Phil.
They are exactly the words that he used.
Those exact words.
Exact words. He did say penis ball in fluent Spanish.
Interesting.
But yeah, Chris, it's one of them where you look at what he's done in the past and it doesn't jump off a Wikipedia page and make you go, oh, so excited. But it has done like Oscar said, it's done a hell of a lot of calming people down. It's been like throwing a blanket on the fire and just sort of calming it all down. He looks like a sturdy appointment. He looks safe pair of hands. And like the important question is, do you have faith that he can keep us up? That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got the experience without being sort of a Premier League dinosaur and without just being a Premier League ex-player. He's someone who has been there and done it. He seems flexible. He's not just rooted in his way. It's not like he's going to come in and pat the defence and play long ball. He's going to try different things. He's sounds like he's willing to adapt, and I think he has to say all of that as well. I mean, you can't, without a pre-season, you can't come in and completely change the style of football. The chance to do that was in the World Cup break, and we missed that, rightly or wrongly, probably wrongly, but based on how it's gone. But we are where we are. So I still think there's such a long way to go. I'm happy we've got a manager. Happy it's done, and I think there's plenty of winnable games out there that we can slowly climb the table. I'm not panicking at this point.
Yeah, I mean, before I ask Oscar, I am going to just let people know that I've been watching your tweets for the last few days, and I have really enjoyed them. So if you don't want to listen to the next 25 minutes of Oscar not breathing, just go and look at his tweets, because he's about to tell you everything that he's tweeted for the last few days. But Oscar, apart from the very little that he's actually given away today, what would you expect that we're going to get from Javi Gracia based on what you've seen from him before in La Liga and at Watford? Because he doesn't give much away in the press conference. He's not quite as straight bat as Scabala was with his press conference, but he held a lot back, I thought.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I don't want to see a press conference be used.
It's refreshing, put it that way.
Yeah. I don't want to see a press conference where a manager's using it to justify his qualities as a manager, or to exaggerate everything and say it's fine, it's this, it's that, and I just. I'm not one of these says I'll just say it as it is kind of thing. It gives a little bit of excitement, but I didn't mind the interview, to be honest, or the press conference at all. In terms of Javi Grazia, I mean, when you say what to expect, you talk about results or just general manner of the team.
So yeah, I mean, the stuff you were putting out, and I thought that would be a good little deep dive for you to do. I
think one of the things to point out, I do plan to do a proper video on this, but the problem is it's hard to do a video because Javi Grazia has changed system a lot. It has changed system at clubs a lot. I mean, people are talking a lot about this 4-2-2-2-2 or penis ball, to give it its proper name. But he hasn't actually used that at every single club. At Valencia, he did drop to a 3-4-2-1, which didn't actually work particularly well at Valencia. But Valencia is an absolute basket case club, and they have been on a constant decline. That no one should really pay attention to that Valencia period, to be totally honest with you, because so many decent managers have gone to Valencia and it not work out. Gary Neville not included, by the way. It is hard to say, but I think the main theme of Javi Gracia's football is that it tends to be about compacting the middle of the pitch, a bit of a mid-block. So we're used to seeing a high press under Jesse Marsch and under Marcelo Bielsa. Under Marcelo Bielsa, it was very much man-to-man. Under Jesse Marsch, it was more ball-orientated, where you have sort of 4 or 5 people swarming the ball and then just allowing 3 or 4 players to run off them, kind of thing. I think the way some people described it was like watching school children play football, in terms of where everyone just runs the ball. And I think that was probably a fair reflection of it. But under Javi Grazia, it is a lot more measured. It is much more about, there won't be a lot of pressure from the front. So you could say someone like a Rodrigo, when he's back fit, could really suit the system, because there's less pressure on him to press from the front. It's more about we all drop into a...
He was devastated to not get to work with him at Valencia, wasn't he? He wanted, and then
it's true with Ferran Torres as well. Actually, was at Valencia as well, and so he had half his squad sold underneath him. Having Grazia,
and if it would have been between me and you, we'd have got Jose Gaya over here as well if we'd have had our way. So he was
I mean, listen, they didn't watch our scouting videos, did they? It's big mistake. Big mistake. Out of all the times the board have dropped the ball, that was the one that caused the most damage. That was like a bowling ball getting dropped on a thingy, not listening to us on Jose Gaya.
But was on a few of the others, but here's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, but we didn't suggest Dan James before anyone starts on us. We didn't suggest Dan James.
No, we actually did a graph, and he was the least compatible out of everyone on the graph. To be fair, that did actually happen, didn't it? I do remember that now.
Awkward. But yeah, Javi Grazia, what to expect from him? I think very much a mid-block. I think it is about keeping the middle of the pitch very compact. It says having a lot of bodies in there, more in terms of off the ball to try and force some turnovers, to get some counter-attacks going. But, listen, I think he will try and play football. I think we will try and play out the back. I think someone like Mark Rock is going to be really help in terms of when we're trying to keep the ball and play through the lines and that. But I think it's going to be less kick and rush like it was under Jesse Marsh. But it's not going to be, listen, we're not going to be this beautiful football team like a Brighton are, for example. In terms of we're going to play this beautiful football. I don't think it's realistic to expect that. Yeah. But I think the one thing we are going to be is probably going to be more like a Brentford or a Fulham in terms of that we have got our moments in us, but we're just flexible. I think that's what we're going to be under Javi Grazia. And it's not something we've had for kind of 5 or 6 years from a Leeds manager because, you're under Jesse Marsh, it's very much plan A at all times. Under Marcelo Bielsa, it's plan A at all times. And it's very, very different under Javi Grazia. He will go over a different system from game to game. He hasn't got...
There is a temporary or a flexible contract because he's so adaptable. And that's not really been the Leeds model in this.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And listen, I think one thing to point out here is that, people are talking a lot about us, will he keep us up, won't he keep us up? But you've got to look at the situation we're in. I mean, if he keeps us up, he's done a monumental job. Leeds United to stay up this season have got to finish above at least an Everton or a West Ham. Yeah, that's not easy. That's going to be really difficult. In terms of the situation we're in, that is going to be a massive challenge for us. This isn't Leeds trying to finish above Burnley, finish above Watford, or finish above Norwich. We're trying to finish above established Premier League clubs here just to stay in the league. So this is a monumental task. Javi Grazia could improve us and we could stay exactly where we are in the table because our run of games is horrendous. So I look at it long term as well, that if the worst was to come to the worst and Javi Grazia did a decent job, I'd kind of back him in the Championship as well, to be honest. I would kind of back him as a solid enough appointment for that. But listen, it all depends on what happens, doesn't it? It all depends on what happens. But I think it's hard to say exactly what Javi Grazia is going to do until we see a couple of games. And I have got a video plan for that because it's hard to know what system he's going to play. I would expect a 4-2-2-2-2 to start with, and then you might maybe go to a back three as he gets his foot more in the door and more used to things. But it is that is the common theme though. There's not a lot of width. Now that is something. Well, as soon as I say there's not a lot of width, that's going to really set alarm bells ringing.
1 minute. Can you say it again? I want Chris's face to be on show when you say that.
There's not a lot of width.
Don't cry, Chris. Don't cry.
Jesse Marsh all over again.
But hang on. You need to let me finish there, Phil. You can't just let me say that because that'll get taken out of context and say, Oscar from all these TV is saying that Javi Grazia is just like Jesse Marsh. 2.0.
I'm moving on.
Right. The thing that Javi Grazia really likes is number 10s in terms of 10s that can play a little bit further wide. They're more difficult to track than when they are in the middle of the pitch. He likes them to play from like the inside left or inside right. So they're kind of like a mixture between a winger and a number 10 almost. So you saw it a lot with Roberto Pereira at Watford, for example. Delafeu kind of adapts to the role pretty well. And I think someone like a Willie Gnonto will develop really well into that role. It's not that they can't play out wide. They're not allowed to play out wide, but they kind of play with 2-3 roles kind of thing behind the striker. So, if it is a 4-2-2-2, that 2 behind the front 2 have very much got 3 roles, just roam about the pitch. So it's not about necessarily we lack width, but we've not got constant width, if you know what I mean. They're not just standing on the touchline, they're drifting around the pitch. That's not to say they can't make runs out wide. They can't stay out wide from time to time, but they're not going to be constantly staying out wide like a traditional winger. So that is something to point out. But the reason he plays narrow is he likes the combinations. He likes to play pretty patiently in between the lines. He likes those combinations. He likes players in close proximity. Under Jesse Marsh, the reason for players being so narrow was purely for pressing. It had nothing to do with what he wants to do on the ball. It was purely for pressing. If the ball turned over, you've got 3 or 4 players in close proximity to swarm and win the ball back. That's not the case under Javi Grazia. It's all about what we can do with the ball. And to be fair, Watford, I don't know if you saw a lot of Watford under Grazia.
Most of us watched the Premier League.
They were a good team.
It's just whether you remember it, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It's only 4 seasons ago. It's not that long ago in terms of when it happened, and he has gone to other clubs and played decent football. I mean, I know it was Qatar. I know it's Qatar. People are going to have a go at me, but his actual win percentage and points per game.
I mean, I'm going to have a go at you. It is Qatar.
No, but it was far better than Xavi's at Al Sadd. Yeah, they had the same job. He came in halfway through the season. They actually improved Al Sadd. So that's pretty telling. But yes, I know it's Qatar. Yes, I know Xavi had done most of the groundwork there. But you have to call a spade a spade. He did improve the situation if you look at points and general feeling of the club. So yes, I am positive about Javi Grazia, but this is a monumental job. This is a really, really tough job because you go past this game, you got Chelsea away, Brighton at home, Wolves away, and then an international break.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
We've got some hard games. I want to, Michael, I am going to come back to this. When we do the lineup predictions in a bit, I think we have to sort of go on what we think is best because it's hard to sort of know what to expect in terms of doing a lineup prediction. I mean, other than just sort of going off what we put out last time and making tiny tweaks based on who's fit and who's not, which is what we normally do, to be fair. I think we're probably better off just doing like a preferred lineup. But yeah, I mean, Chris, we were actually joking about one thing Oscar just said there when we were away last week about how Oscar, say the last sentence again. It's left my head already.
Which last sentence?
The last sentence you just said.
I can't remember.
Me neither. I'm useless. Chris wasn't today. Chris wasn't. Chris has fallen asleep.
No idea what you're talking about.
Well, anyway,
this has gone like that over my head.
It's a really good TV. This, so we'll just move on. Chris, the Southampton game tomorrow, for me, it's must win because of the situation that we're in. And me and you actually spoke about this very briefly before we came on air, and I know you're far more positive as a person and as a Leeds fan than I am. But I feel like if we lose tomorrow, I think we're down. I don't think it's a case of, we've got a new manager, there's 14, 13 games left after tomorrow, he can turn it around. For me, whoever loses tomorrow, I think is down. It's the amount of points per game you've accumulated to this point of the season. And that's where I was going, Oscar, the thing that floated out of my head, the fixtures and what's coming up.
Yeah,
and me and Chris, we did this when we were on holiday together last week, and we were talking about this pretty much every day. And we argued about it quite a lot because
it sounds like you had some fucking fun on that holiday.
Yeah, it was great.
Jesus.
So I was saying to Chris, I think that out of all the
imagine being on holiday and talking about Leeds. Like, why?
Well,
you were in Amsterdam, weren't you?
But we were looking at I was looking at the fixtures of all the teams around us, and I think we've got the hardest or one of the hardest runs between now and the end of the season. So no matter what Javi Gracia does when he comes in and how good he is and how much I believe in him as a coach, and trust me, I know we are at the point in the season where we are because of the person that was in charge beforehand. I think he's got an incredibly difficult job with the fixtures that are left to be able to, like Oscar said, get us above an Everton or a West Ham. Because for me, I think Southampton and Bournemouth are two of the teams that will go down, but I just can't see us not being the other. And those fixtures, Chris, feel free to have the same argument with me, just with Oscar here to back you up.
Well, hopefully
you don't think the fixtures matter.
You're saying we've got hard fixtures. We're not. We're over the halfway point, but we've got a decent chunk. We've got about 40% of the games left. We've all got the same teams to play, but we haven't got. We're not the last.
Played those teams, and look where we are from playing those teams.
You're talking like we've got 5 games left, and we're playing Man City, Liverpool, Man United, and they're playing the bottom half. Everyone's got pretty much the same run of games, just in a slightly different order, slightly different variation of home and away. If you look at the fixtures, I mean, points per game. Yeah, if you take the average, we're going to finish roughly where we are, and someone's got to. You'd think at least sort of start taking momentum up the table. I looked at the fixtures before, and there's a couple of games that you'd probably write off, but there's still 7, 8, 9 games that could go either way. I'm not saying we're going to go and win another 9 games this season because we haven't won anywhere near that, but there's games that you can't just write off.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is a really important game. There's no if we lose, the stadium's going to turn. There's going to be chants at the board. It's going to be a horrible atmosphere, but it wouldn't be relegation. There's there's too far to go in the season for it to be relegation. Yeah, would that put us bottom? Yeah, I guess it would. Yeah, we would be bottom, but so be it. A couple of weeks we could be out again. I think we need the positive result, but there's still such a long way to go to even worry about who's playing who. I'm not really worried who Everton are playing tomorrow, who West Ham have got. We just need to win. If we can't win ourselves, that's irrelevant anyway.
Well, for your
I do agree. Actually,
Everton have Aston Villa at home, and West Ham have Nottingham Forest at home. But yeah, Oscar, what do you make of?
I will say, I do totally agree with Chris in terms of, I don't think you should worry too much about what other teams are doing, because I think at the end of the day, you know, roughly every season, roughly points per game. If you're on around a point a game at this stage of the season, you're going to be in relegation trouble. If you're on a point a game in the middle of April, you'll still be in relegation trouble. So ultimately, we know roughly what we need to do. You know, it's only when it gets to like those sort of last 5 or 6 games where of what other teams are doing really affects us. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Everton, Leicester, West Ham all get beat at the weekend and we win. It still doesn't change the situation. We still know roughly what we need to do to get out of trouble. We know roughly we need 40 points. That is the situation. So it is all about what we do. But the bigger question for me is, can we get 40 points? You know, we're not even on 20 yet. So, you know, it is a massive concern in that respect. But I wouldn't say we're down if we lose against Southampton, because, listen, Javi Grazia has had no time at all. You know, statistically, this is Javi Gracia's first game.
It's a reflection on Gracia. No,
I know that, but I can't throw the towel in on when we got a new manager in after one game. You know, even as bad as a defeat would be, because this technically is his first game, but has he even coached the players yet? I don't know. I don't even know that. With obviously the work permit situation. But it's not been ideal, has it? You know, he came in on Wednesday, I think it was. You know, it has been a bit rushed, but yeah, I'd agree with Chris. It does look very bleak, though. Essentially, we could be 5 points back and bottom of the league if we do get beat, and that is horrendous. And as I said before, this job is much more difficult than the one Jesse Marsh walked into this time last season. Much more difficult. And yeah, there are some winnable games. You know, listen, we have been better against the top 6 than what we have against the teams around us. You know, against the teams around us, we've consistently bottled it. Let's have it right. We've consistently bottled these games all season. It's been infuriating.
I feel great about tomorrow already. Cheers, Oscar.
No, but this is where Javi Grazia, can he change the mentality in these games? You know, can we go the hard yards? Can we show we've got that dog in us? I don't see it at this moment in time. I don't see that dog in us that can really step up in tough games, tough moments where things don't go all our way. I've not seen that all season from this Leeds team, if I'm being honest. I haven't seen it. It just hasn't happened.
To be honest, about a year, 14 months maybe since we last saw that.
I think you saw it last season, the back end of last season, but I think a lot of that was Rafinha leading the brigade, really. I thought, you know, if we're being totally honest, I think he was the one who had that mentality that was like, we are not going down. We are not going down here. And I just don't think we've had that enough of that in terms of getting through these games. And that is going to be so key. You know, Southampton, Bournemouth, West Ham still to play. You know, West Ham, the penultimate fixture of the season away from home. We have got to step up in these games now. You know, no more pissing about, no more making excuses. These are the games we've got to step up in. Yes, I know we've got injuries. I know we've got this and that. But you still look at the players we've got. You know, like Tyler Adams, Rocker, Nonto, Sinister when he's fit. You know, Verber. Again, a lot of players injured at this moment in time. But we should still have enough to get through these games. And we put so much pressure on ourselves because we've bottled these games all season. And it's been from the off, even when we were playing well. We bottled Everton at home early in the season. You know, it's just, you think of the ones we've pissed away, like Palace away, Fulham at home, and that lot. You know, once we went 1-0 up and then just completely threw it away. We've got to be tougher now.
Even in that run at the start of the season, the Southampton game, as daft
Southampton as well, and Everton. Just far too many.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. And look, I am happy with the appointment. I think most people are, it's good. I think it's nice that an appointment's happened, and it does seem to have diffused the tension at least, because the last few weeks has been growing more and more anxious and toxic ahead of every game, and getting back to Ellen Road tomorrow and feeling positive, because obviously we missed out on tickets to the Man United game, didn't we, Chris? So we've not actually been there for a little while now. Well, I say a little while. We're at the last fucking home game.
Well, that's another one though. Man United, both games conceded 2 goals in quick succession late on.
Well, that's that dog. Thing,
but we haven't got that dog in us at this moment in time. That's what we've got. I'm going to keep using that
you
phrase.
Love the dog, don't you? Fucking loves his dog.
But we haven't got it in us. We haven't got that.
Anyway.
It's I want them to be barking. I want them to show that, that quality, that in the tough moments. Not when you're 3-0 up against Chelsea and you're playing champagne football and everyone's getting carried away. I got carried away. I'm as bad as anyone. I got carried away after that Chelsea game. All well and good doing it there.
Yeah, I think we both did, to be fair.
The only time I
apologised to Rodrigo immediately after that game, didn't I?
Yeah, he did. That took some doing. That took the gritted teeth. Phil had to go to the dentist the day after he gritted his teeth that hard.
It was. To be fair, I still hold my hand up. We miss him now. I saw there was a question earlier in the chat. I'm not going to scroll back and find it, but someone was asking when's he back. I think the original prognosis was that he'd be back by the end of March. And he did an interview this week, didn't he, Rodrigo, saying that it's going well and he could be back sooner, maybe a couple of weeks sooner. So maybe, hopefully, I think he said before the international break. So that's in a couple. I mean, yeah, I can see Oscar start a little wry smile coming across the face. Yeah, I fucking believe it when I see it. But
Sinisterra was supposed to be fully fit. Wow. By the way, Sinisterra, I put that on Jesse Marsh. That in his injury problems, I put that entirely on Jesse Marsh. He said to you, Phil, after that Fulham game was the obvious sign that Sinisterra was carrying an injury. He played through an injury, just to try and desperately get a result, and ended up injuring himself. And that has to be put on Jesse Marsh. And he's not been right since. We rushed him back.
Rodrigo against Accrington, same thing. Came on to secure the result.
That one. That was just an impact injury. But again, we didn't really need to bring on Rodrigo in an FA Cup tie. We didn't need to do it. But I can kind of I can be a little bit fairer about that one. But the Sinisterra one, everyone could see in these stands, Sinisterra was hobbling when he wasn't on the ball, and it was just. It's just unbelievable. It's so short-sighted, and in the end, it's cost him his job because, he hasn't had one of his best players available. It's just,
We've got people in the comments taking a good little run away with your little dog reference here, and they're really enjoying it.
See, entertainment is what it's all about.
I can't see what you mean.
Go on, Chris.
I was going to say our team is suited to the good times when we're winning, when we're trying to pass it into the net. Lovely. Well, I say lovely passing move. That doesn't sound like a Marsh team, but all the players want to do 1-2s and just they don't scramble it in. We don't have a Chris Wood. We don't have someone that's going to bang in a free kick. Our centre backs on prolific from corners. We don't have these players that are just going to drag us out, and that is my only worry. I mean, it is too early to worry, but. Other than Nonta, no one stepped up. Bamford doesn't seem to be that player that's going to score a goal from nothing. He needs a goal on the plate, and I hope we don't get a penalty because I don't want to see Bamford near a penalty until he scores. But he really needs a tap in just to sort of build his confidence again.
Get off his arse.
Yeah, anything, and
we do need something.
Score.
Yeah. I want to move it on towards the lineup predictions, but like I was saying, I want to hark back a little bit to Michael's question from earlier, and I want you to sort of first of all give me a lineup that you expect. And Oscar, don't jump ahead here. I ask position by position, so we'll do it then. But I want to know your first answer, who you would start in this position, but then at the same time, in your second answer, I want to know. Who do you think is our strongest? So who do you expect and who do you think is our strongest? So obviously I'm gonna ask for a formation. Chris, I've said throughout the season, and I know it's a different manager now, I thought the strongest we've looked over the last year, and look, there are other formations, but I thought 4-3-3 suited us. And I think Oscar, from what I remember, you liked it as well. But I'll be intrigued to see he's creaming himself.
Mark Rocker high up the pitch and in between the lines of that progressive passing.
He's loving it. Chris, what formation would you like to see us go for? I know we're obviously going to expect, and I think when we're doing the expected lineups, we'll all, like Mark's alluding to here, we'll all probably go 4-4-2 just for the sake of that's kind of where we think it's going. But what formation would you like to see us play, Chris? If you were in charge tomorrow, what would you put to get those best players on the pitch?
I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle because it probably is going to be 4-4-2, but I don't think we've got two strikers who are ready to play tomorrow. We don't have a natural partnership. If we had Bamford and Rodrigo, I'd probably want them to play together. We haven't seen that. I mean, we've seen it hasn't worked at all times in the past when they played together, but that would have been my first choice. So I don't think Ruta's ready to go in there. So I think whoever goes in that role is probably going to be more of a number 10. So
I'd be intrigued when we get to it. To be honest, like the ideal formation thing, I would still be going 4-3-3 because for me, I don't see if there's an option of playing striker or strikers. Well, I'm putting Rodrigo in. I'm not putting Bamford anywhere near my starting 11 because I know for the way that we play, he makes such difference, and I get that bit. But on our strongest 11 based on this season, you'd struggle to make an argument for not starting Rodrigo or starting them together because it's never really worked yet. But yeah, Oscar, what formation would you like to see?
Quattro Tres. Simple as that. 4-3-3. It has to be for me at this moment in time. Tyler Adams dropping in, McKennie, Rocker pushing on a little bit, McKennie playing box to box, Rocker kind of just trying to basically control the game, get on the ball, high up the pitch, and just get on it and just dictate the play really. And Tyler Adams, winning the ball back whenever things turn over, and then let the front three just do its thing. Simple as that, really. Nonto. We're talking ideal 11 with everyone available.
Yeah, so don't give me your players yet because I'm going to go through position by position, and then I want you to give me.
But yeah, it'd be 4-3-3, and those three midfielders are our only senior midfielders, so it kind of has to be those three, unless you want to drop Brendan Aronson a bit deeper. Yeah. But that has to be
mine and Oscar's are probably going to sound pretty similar, and then Chris's.
That's not good.
And then Chris's is going to be a different formation, but I imagine the personnel we won't be far
Leeds
off.
are that bad at this moment in time. Me and Phil are in agreement. We're not arguing anymore. We're not arguing. This is how bad things have got. Me and Phil can't even argue because we both agree that this is grim.
We haven't done it yet. We can always realize halfway through, oh shit, we're back to where we always have been. We don't like each other that much. So goalkeepers, remember what I want. First answer, I want to know what you expect, and second answer, who you want. Both of those answers for the goalkeeper is still Meslier, Chris. You're not throwing him out the window because of Seamus Coleman, right?
No, it was just unfortunate. I mean, put him in that situation again. The goal doesn't go in. He probably crosses it and he catches the ball. It just happened to. I don't know if he spotted the opportunity, whether it was luck. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's our goalie, and unless he's injured, he's going to play.
I like Danny's on the wind up here. He's putting Clarkson in. He can't be arsed with Mellier's shit anymore. He's finished with it. Oscar, again, you going straight for Meslier? Yeah, we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater now.
I was thinking more Nigel Martin, to be honest. But no.
You've completely lost the concept of this task now, haven't you?
I'm joking. I know. No, Meslier. Listen, Meslier. A lot of criticism this week, and that's natural. But he wins us a lot more points than he loses us. And I know the last couple of weeks he has been a bit dodgy. Let's be honest. Last couple of weeks, the first goal against Man United. Sorry, the equaliser against Man United, Jadon Sancho. Not great if we're being honest. Obviously, the second goal against Villa, not great again. I think one of the goals against West Ham, I remember a bit of an error too. The goal for Haaland against City, and then the one against Tottenham as well. And then
you're making it all sound so
quite a fucking lot actually when I do look back at it. But no, let's have it right. He wins us more points.
Newcastle at home last season with the free kick.
I'm not going that far back, but yes, it has been
from free kicks in
poor
general.
Form.
Just on the free kick thing, bearing in mind who we're playing tomorrow and the fact that if he scores a free kick tomorrow, he equals David Beckham's record as the most free kicks scored in the Premier League's history. You wouldn't. consider changing Meslier out just based on that, would you? Or would you just tell him not to give free kicks away?
Unless Joe Robles is some kind of specialist free kick saver, I don't think there's any. I don't believe there is such a thing as that. No, I wouldn't do that. I
do find it interesting. There's obviously a lot of the comments I flashed up there were quite harsh.
Last comment that came in.
Which one's the last one? Yeah, this. But yeah,
no, the one above that.
No.
Jeez. I thought, that's quite a nice comment to start off with. I thought, fucking hell, it went south pretty quickly, that comment.
But no,
cheers, mate. Cheers to that one.
Now, a lot of the comments. So the ones that I flashed up before, people saying get Parson in, Robles, but is who they want, but they'll stick with Mares. People would rather see Robles in than, the joke, is Kiko available? But people do seem to be losing a bit of faith in Illan Meslier. And look, I would definitely still be sticking with him, just because for me he definitely has made mistakes. And for me, it wasn't just the mistake at Everton, it was the flapping at crosses as well, when he could come out and catch, or he could punch, and it was just neither. I think he was generally quite poor against Everton, but to drop a goalkeeper, it takes a lot for me. And when I've seen Robles this season, we were at Cardiff away, and I thought he was shit. I'll be honest. I don't think
that's the thing. If Robles was really impressing in his performances, then I'd consider the change. I'm never a fan of just dropping someone and just trying someone else just because they can't be as worse. I'm not a fan of that. I think if someone's getting drops and someone else is coming in, they have to have really earned the place. I think that's been a problem all season for us. At times, listen, I don't think Brendan Harris has been good this season, but he's always been dropped for someone else to come in who hasn't really done anything to justify starting either. So it is that constantly kind of like, it's always rewarding failure a little bit. And that might be a little bit harsh, but it feels like rewarding failure a little bit. But I think we could probably move on and say Meslier is it's not that big of a debate at this moment in time. Maybe in a couple of weeks' time, if this carries on. But I think right now. We
all went back 4. So we're going to go right back. We'll start first. And I'm just going to come to you first, Oscar, just because I've been... And it's been actually commented on quite a few times on our shows while you've not been here in the last few weeks. You've been doing these lineup predictions without me, Dad, and Chris. None of us have been asked to do any of them, and we're quite upset. But anyway, we've all noticed.
I've not done one for ages.
Well, anyway, we've all noticed, and we've been quite upset that you've all been putting Rasmussen over Ayling. Why is everyone putting Rasmussen?
I've not.
Ayling? Oh, right, okay.
I've bloody well not. Ayling all day long at this moment in time.
Okay. Oh, have a word with everybody else.
Check him.
I'm not that bothered. I just thought.
Well, don't accuse me of something that I've not done.
I've got him going.
You're always accusing me, you. Yeah, Bill Ayling for me at right back. I think he has played. I think since the World Cup, his form's been much, much better. Listen, I'm not saying Bill Ayling is what he was, but
the future of right back at Leeds United.
No, he's not. He's not that. But this is what I was saying before. Rasmus Christensen, listen, he's coming in the summer, but he hasn't played well enough to displace Luke Ayling. No. That's a simple fact. I think if you put Rasmus Christensen in, you've got to reward him in consistency, really. I think we have to be ruthless on that and say this signing hasn't worked so far. He has to step up.
He has been consistent, but consistently shit.
Wow, that's harsh.
No, but it's true. I like it.
He hasn't been anywhere near the player he was at Salzburg. Let's be honest. He was nowhere near the player.
Good.
What's that?
He's not looked good.
No, he hasn't. He's had a couple of games where he's been okay, somewhat solid. But I think Luke Ayling has been playing a lot better. But yeah,
I love that comment. It's brilliant, and it's absolutely
there is a lot of tension. There is
absolutely
incredible lot of tension.
When me and Oscar spend time together, that is basically the entirety of our friendship.
I message him at like 3 o'clock in the morning on WhatsApp and just say, "Oh, I've got what you meant now."
Chris, who's your right back? I'm assuming 2 man of the match performances against Scum. You're not going to take him out, are you?
I'm going to stick with Ayling, but I think I guess this shows what a tough job Meslier's got with the defence in front of him. We're having such a debate on who plays in the defence, and the amount of times we've chopped and changed this season doesn't help Meslier and doesn't help the team. I mean, start of the season, everyone thought Pascal was the best centre-back going, that he was wasted at left-back and he's going to want to leave because he's playing out of position. Then all of a sudden he needs a rest. People thought Cooper needed to play for his leadership. People thought Ayling was done. You need to play Rasmus, and now it's the other way around. People wanted Firpo gone. Now maybe Firpo's okay. Is it Koch? Is Koch the problem? So it's a bit of a mess. But
Koch is always the problem.
Yeah.
Right, moving on.
Who's your centre back pairing, Chris?
The centre back. Well, I don't know if he's fit, but I think it probably will be Koch and Pascal.
And is that so? Obviously, first answer. That's what you expect. Who would you like, given everybody's fit? Who's your first choice centre half pairing?
I think Koch and Verber have looked good, so I'd like those two together.
But I think Verber obviously might be out tomorrow. We're not expecting to see Verber.
It sounds like he's out. I guess he didn't give it away, so if he's back, then great. But yeah, it didn't sound likely. So
Oscar, your centre back pairing, what you'd like and what you expect.
Ideally, Koch Verber. In terms of what I'd like. But I think in the next couple of weeks it'll probably be. It's hard. I'd probably say Koch and Struick probably. No, actually.
Is that because you just don't expect Cooper to be fit?
No. I'd go Koch and Cooper actually.
Yeah.
It's
one of them though.
There is a reason for that. Very specific reason for that. Concerning the left back situation, to be honest.
Right.
So,
okay. Oh, we're gonna have a disagreement here.
You probably picked up on the drift now. Suddenly, I've not picked Pascal at centre back. You kind of know where this is going.
Right, well, I know.
Let's play a player out of position. Let's play a player out of position. This is exactly it. This is the future, man.
And I'm going to go the opposite way from you. I think the best player we've had in the last few games, and most consistent. Maybe I'm pushing the boat out a little bit too much here. So just to confirm where we've got, I'm also Meslier in net, Ayling at right back. I agree with you guys. The centre back pairing would probably be Koch and Verber if fit, but for me, I would. It's hard because I don't know whether Cooper's fit or not, and if he is, can he last 90 minutes? It's really hard to know where he is at the moment, but maybe I would just go Koch and Struick in centre back. And for me, regardless of whether Pascal is starting at centre back or on the bench, I don't think you can take Firpo out at the moment. I genuinely think Junior Firpo.
Has he been that good though? I mean, listen, he has been better.
He's the best he's ever been, and I know that's not a compliment, but he's looked consistent for the last few games. And if we can get some confidence into, like, the vast majority of his time at Leeds has actually, because he was always injured under Bielsa anyway, he didn't play that much for Bielsa, apart from getting molested by Kulusevski in the game that Bielsa got sacked for. For me, most of his time has been under Marsh, where we've all been shit. The club's been shit, the football's been shit, all the players have been shit. And yet Firpo was the one that I
mean, you've been shit. Everyone's been shit. We've been way off. We've been way off our game. You know, Chris has been fine. Chris is consistent. He's at his usual levels. But me and you, we've been so far off it.
Since Marsh is gone, Firpo has probably looked the most improved, the quickest. And under a new manager, perhaps, I personally I love how surprised everyone is to hear because of how far I've gone that way.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, for Firpo, Rodrigo, and that lot,
Firpo was worse. I was so much further gone with Firpo than I was with Rodrigo. Like, I actually wanted to. I made a joke where you wanted to, like, just end the stream.
No, don't talk. We didn't upload that video because I thought, no, that's not.
No, we did. We did. That was the Rodrigo one you're talking about. But anyway, I won't say it.
Anyway, is that the one where I just put you in full screen and just let you just like rant? I think I left the room actually at that point.
You did, yeah. But yeah, I don't see an argument for not starting Firpo at left back tomorrow. Honestly, I don't. As daft as it sounds, and how crazy it's gone from one side to the other. Surely you got to start Firpo.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to say it in my chest and say, oh yeah, he's got to be at left back. He has to be at left back. I don't think Firpo's undroppable, by the way. But left back,
I'm not what I'll say about world class. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Kind of were. You kind of were alluding to that. You know, you were alluding to that. You wouldn't have it when I said he's been slightly better, and you would say, no, he's been loads better. He's been our most consistent player since Marsh left.
I did make the joke there. That was a joke. He's been one of the most consistent. It's an exaggeration.
course. But no, listen. Firpo going forward probably suits this system better because Grazia does like his fullbacks to provide width, and that is probably the strongest part of Firpo's game, is getting, it's forwards, basically. We've not seen it a lot at Leeds because we don't have a lot of settled possession. We're very much kick and rush. The fullbacks don't have enough time to get on the pitch because most of the time we turn the ball over and then they're running straight back. That's been a problem for ages for Leeds. So hopefully that will suit Firpo more, because I think the way Grazia plays is closer to a La Liga team than a Premier League team. This is interesting.
That's it coming up. Chris, who do you want at left back?
I think. We've only got one person left. We've got Firpo. I don't want Firpo to be playing, but if Cooper's fit, I'd put him in the centre. But if he's not, then it's got to be Firpo.
Sorry, me and Oscar completely.
That was the point I was trying to make. It was the point I was trying to make was exactly what Chris alluded to. It's all about what suits Grazia the most now. It's not necessarily about what our opinions are of individual players, and Firpo probably does suit the system better. But I think if I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, he's up against, who's he up against tomorrow? He's not up against a particularly high-profile winger, but next week he's probably going to be up against Madueke or Raheem Sterling against Chelsea. So I would probably prefer Pascal in that game. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. But in a game where we're going to probably dominate...
He's done it twice against Man United, who pains me to say it.
I thought he struggled against Sancho in the second game. I really did think he struggled at Ellen Road. I thought, watching it from the East Stand, but was a few times where he just sat off Sancho too much. And if Sancho played a slightly better final ball, you're probably looking at Firpo's defending a lot more in that first half, especially. I did think there was a couple of times. And he also didn't even start that game at Old Trafford either. And we have to remember this. We can't say Firpo's completely turned a corner because he hasn't.
No, but he came off the bench. Pascal got taken off with concussion 19 minutes in. So he played the
Phil, you're keen on defending Firpo today, aren't you? You're really going the other way now.
Chris, you went a different formation to us. So you went a double pivot in the midfield. So who are your two is? Because the Rocker, is it Rocker or McKennie next to Adams? I mean, Adams, we're all putting Adams in there, surely. But is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if Rocker's is Rocker fit. I'm assuming he's not fit, so it's going to be Adams and McKennie in there.
If everyone is fit, though, is that what you want as well?
If everyone's fit, I'd like the three of them to play together. I think that was the plan, and it's a shame we haven't got to see that yet.
Right. So now you're changing, and you're becoming me and Oscar and doing the 4-3-3.
Well, we haven't got that. We haven't got the option to
but that's the question. What would you ideally like? I'll scroll back to it. Michael Pollard has asked us a very strict question, and I want to answer it.
And we're taking about half an hour to answer one question.
I think in an ideal world, I've got Rafinha playing, Calvin Phillips. What else?
but I think the question, I can't fucking find it, Michael. But I remember what you asked. It was if we have everyone fit.
Let me stop you there. Let me just stop you there. If we had everyone fit, it just doesn't happen at Leeds United. It never has and never will.
No, of course.
But I know the question. Fair enough of Michael Pollard, but it's very keen to point out that I don't think we will ever have a full.
Oh no, he didn't say this. He did say with the available players. Ignore me completely. Sorry.
There you go.
So we spent half an hour. A question that was addressed to me, by the way, Phil.
Mate, I said it was addressed to you. That's why I brought it up. I tried asking you it at the time, and you just told me to shut up and let you keep talking.
I don't remember saying that.
We're moving on to the midfield. Chris has given his midfield. Oscar, you've already given your midfield. You're not saying it again. It's Rocker, McKennie, and Adams.
You've not allowed me to put Sam Greenwood in yet.
No, I don't want you to. We're going to move on. Chris, are you staying on your fourth penis ball now, or are you going 4-3-3? What are we doing next?
It's a bit of a hybrid, but I'd put Aronson in front of them. So whether you class in that as 4-3-3 or
what formation are you playing? Hold on.
I want to have Aronson sort of just ahead of the two. Sort of. I
thought you were going 4-3-1-2 then. So you're going 4-2-1-3.
Hang on, just one moment. Phil, we are talking about the team we expect tomorrow, because I'm agreeing with Chris here that I think Aronson will be in that right half space tomorrow.
Well, no, the first answer is meant to be what you expect. I've got to the point now.
I think you've lost the question.
Just answer the question.
We've only got a certain amount of players. There's not many players that are fit. I think the defence, you could kind of argue about it, but there's only one spot in the sort of midfield and attack that's up for debate,
and that's between Harrison and Aronson.
Yeah.
See, I don't think.
Itself. However, you want to place them.
Harrison was poor at Everton, but Aronson's been on poor form as well. So, is it only those two in the question now? If Oscar, if you want to bring Sam Greenwood into it, you're more
no. But if we're playing, if we are playing 4-2-2 tomorrow, and that right half space in terms of the two behind, we're playing quite narrow in terms of the wingers or wide number 10s, whatever way you want to put it. Doesn't really matter. They're both kind of the same thing. Aronson is far, far, far better suited on the right than what Harrison is. Harrison on the right has never had a good game for Leeds United. I will go that far. And it's not Harrison's fault. He's just not suited to playing that way. He can't shift the ball quick enough onto his left foot from that right-hand side. He hasn't got that subtle movement that the good players have who play on from the right to left, like Saka, Salah and Rafinha. He just hasn't got that subtle movement where he can get himself onto his stronger foot, and get shots off or passes or crosses and that lot. He just doesn't suit him. He's much better on the outside or in the middle for me, where he can just play the game as he sees it. Aronson is better in that position. This is what I was alluding to before about we've packed a squad full of players who are better on the left than what they are on the right. And if you're going off that situation, it's all about what gets the best out of individual players. And I think Aronson, the fact he can form a midfield three, because the thing to point out with GRACIA'S football is that it's very flexible. It will change into a 4-3-3. You can move Aronson across alongside Rocker and play him a bit deeper. You can push him up a bit further up the pitch. The thing with Brendan Aronson is that he's never going to be a player who produces elite level output. It's just not the player he is. He wasn't at Salzburg.
Yeah, he's not going to get double figure goals, assists. He's not going to do that. He's not going to go 10-10, 10 goals, 10 assists. It's not what he's going to do. And that doesn't mean he's a bad player, but it wasn't what he was doing at Salzburg in a much lesser league. It doesn't surprise me this. This is why I was keen to point out when we first signed the player that he's not going to transform our attack like a Rafinha would. But if you use him right, in terms of for his pressing off-ball qualities, he can help keep the ball in that final third because of the way he presses high up the pitch. And he offers you that bit of intensity. The fact he's very flexible as well. We just haven't played with the ridiculous thing is that we've all sort of ended up on a 4-3-3, but we're doing 4-4-2, and we've all said 3 people. So who?
Yeah, but Phil, your question was right.
So who's
your
next?
Question was what is your preferred system and what is your expected system? We're talking about the expected system.
Yeah, but you just said 4-2-2-2, and you've got your McKennie and Adams there, and then you've got right half space Aronson. Who's left then?
Somerville.
Right. Okay. So Chris, are you half spacing or are you 4-3-3?
This is my preferred system. I'll point out to you. I don't.
Same as you. I've got Somerville on one side. I've got Nonce on the other, and I've got Bamford up top.
Right. Okay. Ooh. So right, is Sinistera not an option? Is he?
He's not fit, is he? He's not fit.
I've lost it. I've got so confused with systems that I'm just losing my mind. I don't care who plays anymore. Let's just end it. Oscar.
I am in agreement with that. The only one is
where Chris finished off. Give us the rest.
I've got a slightly hot take. I would start playing Jorginho Ruta up front now. I know what Bamford brings to the system, but I think in terms of the way we play now, a lot more patient.
Together or on his own?
If we're playing 4-3-3 on his own, with Somerville and Nonto either side, I think it is quite a young front three. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think it's probably Rutter can make his own goals. We've seen him do that in Germany. And yes, I know the Bundesliga tax and all this lot, but he has got the capability to carry the ball and make things happen in that respect. I think Bamford, I don't know if it's going to work as well for Bamford in a non-high pressing system as what it does now, kind of thing. I just don't think it's going to work as well in this system. I still rate Bamford as a player, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure we need a striker so much who presses as much from the front anymore. We need someone who's just literally going to offer goal poaching and finishing. Ideally, I want Rodrigo in there, but for the time being, I'd give Rutter a run of games up top.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I think Bamford has looked rusty, and it's.
But I think it is a little bit, just to say about our ideal system, it is a little bit pointless because I don't think Grazia will play a 4-3-3. I think it will be a 4-2-2-2-2, but we don't know. Listen, that's why I've held off on doing this tactics video a little bit.
One thing I want to ask both of you, because neither of you said one thing that I'll be honest, I expect to see tomorrow. I kind of expected to see a front two of Bamford and Gnonto. Do neither of you think that's going to be something that happens? I thought Gnonto was
I think it might be, but I prefer it, if we're going to do that system, I prefer it to be Rutter and Gnonto.
Right. Rather than have a Rutter out wide and Somerville on either side.
Well, I think the fact with Rutter and Gnonto is Rutter can play wide right and can move out into that wide right role quite naturally, kind of thing. He's got that natural movement to do that, and Gnonto on the other side as well. And you've always got that constant presence in the box as well. And that's the only thing. But I do think it probably will be Bamford and Gnonto to start with.
Chris, do you think there could be a Bamford and Gnonto strike partnership?
I think so. That was kind of almost my preferred system, but I would happily have that and then have Harrison back left wing, back to where he likes playing. He's not turned a bad player overnight, and
would you have Somerville or Rutter on the right then?
I'd have Somerville. I think Rutter. I want him to get minutes. I want him to get sort of 45, but I don't know if he's ready to be thrown straight in. We've spent so much money, he should be, but I think Harrison's a trusted option, and if we were going to play Gnonto somewhere else, I'd put Harrison left wing and give him 45 minutes to see what he can do.
I'll be honest, I would be more tempted to have Aronson on the bench. I wouldn't be putting Brendan Aronson back in the starting 11 tomorrow, and I'd find a way to keep it kind of. I'd happily have Bamford and Gnonto up front. I would take a left wing of Bamford on one side and Somerville on the other, with Rutter on the bench as well. I understand, obviously, from Oscar's point of view, like get him in, get him some minutes and try and play him into some form, but I just don't think he's up to the speed. And I don't think he's necessarily 100% fit yet, to be honest. But at the same time, Bamford's not really giving me that vibe either. Just because I'm conscious of time and I want to steer it on a little bit. I want to get everyone in the comments, if you haven't already. Obviously, smash a like and all that shit. Subscribe to the channel. Plenty more to come. But score predictions. If you haven't already, guys, throw your score predictions in the comments. I'm going to flash them up as we go along. But I want to know what you think the score is going to be tomorrow. If we are winning and we are scoring goals, I want to know who you think is going to score those goals. And alongside that, I kind of want to get a bit of a gist from you as to how you think the game's going to go tomorrow, Chris. Do you think that it's going to be Leeds go 1-0 down, it all goes toxic, and the West Ham start trying to fight their way into the board and kill them? Or do you think it is going to be new manager, we get the bounce, we win 3-0, as Jamie's saying here, and life goes swimmingly? How do you?
That's
think
what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a 3-0 win. I think it's going to be 2-0 personally, but it could go either way. I think the first 10 minutes key. We don't need to score in the first 10 minutes, but we need to be dominating. We don't want to be sort of giving the ball away, having Southampton corners. Definitely don't want to have any bloody free kicks. We just need to have the stadium behind the team, and just the players kind of enjoying themselves, playing with a bit of freedom. So it could go either way. If Southampton score, they could go on and get a run of goals, but likewise we could do that, and I'm banking that it'll be us to go on and get a 2-0 win.
I do think you're definitely right in that first 10 minutes. It's crucial that we don't concede. I think it is crucial that we score the first goal as well, to be honest. I think whatever time that first goal goes in, if it is a James Ward-Prowse free kick, no matter whether...
But it is bad that we're talking about playing Southampton at home and not conceding early doors. It is bad, isn't it? It is. I'm not disagreeing with you. I totally agree, but it shows how bad a starting point this is for Javi Grazia. For being honest, we're talking like this already. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but it just shows how far back we've fallen in the last couple of weeks.
What do you think, Oscar? What's the score going to be? Who's going to get goals?
I think we will see a bounce. I think we will see an improvement. I'd like to think we're not going to lose the game. I think we'll at least get something from the game. My only problem is I think Grazia will make an impact on this one, but it's the injuries we've got. The fact that Rodrigo, Verba, etc., and missing Rocker potentially, that's a massive blow. I'll back us 2-1.
2-1. Got a few
I'll back
people
us
here
2-1.
saying, I mean, everyone's probably going the same answer for that Southampton goal. It's a Ward-Prowse free kick, of course.
Well, I think Verba being missing is the problem, but
Yeah.
it is a problem for us defensively. We haven't got that. I'm not saying Cooper isn't a leader, but Verba he's got an aura about him defensively. Let's use that as a phrase. He's got an aura.
And who did you say your goals were for, Oscar?
Own goals, I think. Probably Southampton own goals, I reckon. I have struggled. That's the problem, though. We are lacking natural goal scorers. Sinistera and Rodrigo not being on the pitch. I will go for
Riley's got a nail on the head, mate. If you need 2 goals, natural born goal scorers below.
Well, none so potentially will be. I don't think we can describe him as that quite yet. But I will go for Somerville, and I will go with. Who am I going to go with to get the winner? Let's go Bamford to get the winner.
Well, to be honest, if we could come out of tomorrow with Bamford and Ruta both scoring, Jesus Christ, that would be a wonderful outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Take that. So, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't want to end it on a negative. I like to think that we're going to win tomorrow. We need that new manager bounce. It's a must-win game. I have already said if we lose, we're going down. So I can't get any more negative than that.
Nice to finish it on a positive note, though.
I'm going to. So, yes, I think we are going to win. I think we hopefully are going to get a bit of... For me, the most important thing tomorrow is to go to Ellen Road for the first time in probably just over a year and enjoy watching the football, I'll be honest. Yeah. It's about going and watching the way that we play and not hating every second of it and wanting to stick needles in my eyes, because that's what the last year or so has been. I want to go. I want to enjoy watching the way that we play. If we can come out of that with a comfortable result, great. But end of the day, if we play a little bit shit and we scrape a 1-0, I'll take that too, because tomorrow's huge. It's a 6-pointer. And yeah, don't give any stupid free kicks away on the edge of the box. And ideally, if one goes in off Bamford's arse, then that'll be it. But for me, I want my moment. Firpo scores them on the pitch. That's it. I'm happy.
There you go. Listen, I agree with you. I totally agree. I just want to see something different tomorrow. I want to see something different to what we've seen for the last 2 years. That's all I kind of want to see. And obviously a win. Well, I want to see a win first and foremost. But secondly, if we can see something a little bit different in terms of how the team's playing, something that looks cohesive, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Are you at the game tomorrow, Oscar?
I am, mate. I am. East Stand, tactical perspective, good view, decent atmosphere. We take it.
Me and Chris and Lad and Dad, I'm assuming Southampton haven't taken their full allocation, because we've got tickets in the
so you're underneath this.
Yeah, we're underneath. We're underneath the Southampton fans in the West Stand. So we're like an extension of the South Stand lower. So
you're going to be scrapping with the Southampton fans at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send Chris up there. It'll be fine. But yeah, so guys, wherever you're watching
that's
the game
such
tomorrow,
a Phil move, by the way. Nothing about that surprised me that Phil said that.
What do you mean?
Just send someone else to face the music.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. Wherever you're watching the game tomorrow, guys, enjoy it. Fingers crossed. We're going to enjoy some real football. There's going to be a good result, and we have something to get behind. But Oscar, Chris, thank you very much for your time as always, guys. Thank you for sticking with us and all your interactivity in the comments. If you haven't
post-match reaction as well, guys, tomorrow straight after the game from the car. Hopefully it'll be a happy one and I don't look like manically depressed. That would be a massive positive.
If there was one of those, it'd probably be Chris Kelly or Jack instead anyways.
Well, I've done a sterling job at looking manically depressed after these games. It hasn't looked a lot of practice. It hasn't took a lot of practice over the last 2 years.
But yeah, guys, if you haven't already, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for staying with us. And of course, like Oscar said, plenty of content still to come over the weekend. I know someone was asking earlier in the show, player ratings is back this weekend. Me and Oscar,
it is back.
We have made friends. We are back. So
Phil wants to give Firpo a 9 out of 10 before the game is even kicked off. Oh, sorry, a 9.5 out of 10 before the game's even kicks off.
I do, and I'm not going to say everything else that's going through my head at the moment. Chris, thank you very much for your time as always, mate. Oscar, see you very soon. Guys, if you haven't already, fuck off now. All the best.
What